Okay, so today's explain. This is kind of a big deal. It's a lot going on. Some of you are confused. So watch the video again. Hopefully that'll help. Okay, explain today. So we're going to do a lot of thinking. What do animals, like the deer in the photo, what do they need in order to grow and do their daily stuff? What do you need in order to grow and do your daily stuff? Okay, you need food. You need to eat. Okay? So you need energy to do those things. So food gives you energy, but food has to be broken down so into a form of energy that can be used. So what you're going to do is we're going to explore the chemical reaction known as cellular respiration. That is the chemical reaction that breaks down your food in order to give you the energy to do your everyday tasks. Okay, so on this slide, you have the chemical reaction for cellular respiration. So what you've got is you have glucose. Okay? Glucose is sugar. Glucose is sugar that is in the food that we eat. Everything we eat has sugar in it. Okay, some more than others. So the sugar plus the oxygen. Okay, so you're eating the sugar, and then your body, you're bringing in oxygen. Okay, the cellular cells in your body taking in the sugar and then taking in the oxygen you breathe, and they're transforming it into energy. So they're transforming the food you eat into energy. And then the product of that transformation is carbon dioxide that you breathe out and water that you breathe out. That's why we wear a mask, so that because you're breathing out water molecules. Okay. So this is the chemical reaction. This is the molecular reaction to cellular respiration. Okay, so it's glucose plus oxygen equals carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so this is your reactant. This is your product. Okay, so what that means, what that's going to happen then is this is how they get the energy. This is what cellular respiration is. You eat the food, right? Your cells consume the food, all right, and then they give off the CO2, which goes into your lungs and out your mouth. Okay, the water vapor comes off your cells again and then out your mouth. All right, so that's basically the gist of cellular respiration. So in the assignment, what you're going to do is, and if you're doing this later, you've forgotten to do it or whatever, you're going to have some pieces, or you can just randomly draw shapes, doesn't matter. So you're going to have something that is going to represent an atom. So carbon has, carbon, the molecule carbon, say, for example, you're going to represent it with, say, a square. Okay. So you'll have three different atom pieces because there's three different atoms that we're working with. And then if we had scales, we could use a scale, but we don't. So you're going to create a model of cellular respiration in a chemical reaction as a group. We're going to play with them and look at them. Individually, though, you're going to do a drawing of the model and then write a paragraph explaining your model. Okay, so that's the part that some of you may have some trouble with. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick a color for each type of atom and record it. Okay, so what I would do is I would say, okay, carbon, I'm going to make carbon red and a square. And I'm going to make hydrogen yellow and a star. And I'm going to make oxygen blue and a cloud or whatever. Okay, whatever you choose to do. Okay, that's fine. And then personally, I would say, how many of each do I need based on my equation? Okay. Then you're going to place the atoms for the left side of the equation on the left side of the scale or on your paper, and then the right side of the equation on the right side of your scale, and then observe what happens. They should balance. They should be the same number, right? Because of the last assignment, the last activity that we did, we learned that the same number on the left side equals the same number on the right side, regardless of how they rearrange. They're the same. So if they're the same on both sides, they should weigh the same. All right. So the scale is a moot point. All right. Once you have that figured out, then you're going to make a drawing of that model. So what the drawing is going to be a visual representation of you saying, yes, there's this many molecules and this to begin with, and there's this many molecules to end with. Okay, I know that the atoms I start with and the atoms I end with are the same. They're just rearranged. They look different, but they're the same. Okay, I can count 6 carbon on this side and I can count 6 carbon on this side. All right, that's what a model is for. It's to give you a visual representation of what's going on. So once you have your visual representation down, then you're going to write a paragraph explaining what's going on in your visual. So if you can't explain your model, then maybe your model needs a little work, okay? So what's in your explanation needs also to be in your model, okay? So all the models involved need to be in there. The number and types of atoms before and after the reaction need to be in there. How the matter is rearranged during the reaction should be in there. How energy is recreated by the action, the ATP energy, that should be in there somewhere. And then a comparison of mass, okay, just knowing that it's balanced is good for me, okay? So what I'm looking for, and I'm going to show the screen. What I'm looking for is here, okay, we wrote down on the left side, you have, this is our equation. Okay? So you have 6 carbon, 12 hydrogen, and 6 oxygen, just in glucose. Plus, you have 6 O2s, which is oxygen, in oxygen. Okay? So that's on this side. Then that equals 6 CO2s, which is your carbon, plus 6 waters, which is H2O. Right? Now, that's going to tell me I need 36. 6 plus 12 plus 18, I need 36. So if I have 36 atoms on this side, I have to have 36 atoms on this side. So that's what I'm going to be looking for to make sure it's balanced. Okay? Now, my picture kind of has something like this. Whereas I showed that my glucose has C's, H's, and O's, which you're going to have shapes. And then my oxygens, I have all of these O's, 6 types. And then they rearrange themselves. So now my C's are with the O's and my H's are with the O's. So I can see visually, and you're going to use colors and shapes, I can see visually that they've rearranged themselves. And so I can talk about that in my model, in my explanation. Okay? And then your explanation is simply you explaining what the cellular respiration is and how it works. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about the elaborate section because it goes with explain. When we did elaborate, we're basically going around and just chatting, talking to other people about your model and about your explanation. So your job is to explain your model to someone else using the words that we talked about on the checklist. Now, if you can't do that, that means that you don't understand it. Okay, and that we need to do some more work. If you can do it, that's good. That means you get it. All right, that's a good. If you do get it and someone else doesn't, then maybe you can help them figure it out. All right. So that's what I need to know. If you can't explain it to someone else, then that means you don't understand it. All right. That's why we do this. That's why we're collaborating. Okay. So I wanted you to write down any notes. So maybe someone had a point that you're like, oh, that makes sense. Add that to your example, add that to your explanation. Okay. So that's basically all we did with the explain and elaborate. You're revising, you're talking to people, you're getting their opinion, you're understanding a little bit more about the how to do it, you're clarifying, you're asking questions, you're reshaping your thoughts, and then you're explaining it in a way that you understand. Okay? So if you can't teach it to somebody else, then that means you don't understand it 100% yourself. And we need to work on that. Okay? All right. Good job.